Hello, hello, welcome in. How's everyone doing tonight? Hi, Kara. How are you? Welcome in. We are going to have Josh and John calling us tonight. We'll be talking about the ACEs, early childhood. Oh, let me get this. Early childhood trauma. We've had 2 conversations with them so far. This is number 3. It's amazing. But I hope everyone's doing good tonight. If everyone could tap the screen and share the live, I would appreciate it. Let me share this out a little bit. Let's see. I have so many people I'm trying to share this with. I don't think that's the right person. There we go. We had such a crowd last night. It was amazing. Let me get, let's see. But happy Friday. Hey, Nana. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I'm excited about our 2 guests. They will be calling in. Hey, Lori. I have everything charging. Oh, it's the weekend. We had such a busy week. We had a good live last night with Brian. Oh, I didn't share this yet with Paige, actually. Hey, Cindy. Thank you for the heart, Miss Cindy. I appreciate you. And I think, oh, Lisa and Shannon, they all know I'll be live tonight. That's right. We were just live over and Dash Mom. They should all be over soon. We were live on the other app. So if everyone could tap the screen and share it out, I would appreciate it. So how's everyone doing? Everyone good? Everyone ready for the weekend? Let's see. Nicole, how are you today? There you go. Hi, Nicole. How are you today? I've been so busy. It's been so crazy. I didn't even go live too long today. I had to have my air conditioning fixed today. It was ridiculous with this heat and everything. Hey, Queen. Yeah, they call in at 8:30, so we're a few minutes early just to set up. Thank you, Queen. So we have Josh and John. Oh, I wonder if Josh's dad, I didn't share it to him. Let me see. How are you, Queen? Oh, okay. I was on for, I had an appointment today, and I got on it late at 3 o'clock. And then I had to have my air conditioning fixed, so I was only on an hour. I thought it was, no, it's 8:24. Wait, you're an hour behind, right? Are you an hour behind? Mickey's here. Hey, Mickey. Let me share it out with Josh's dad also. I think he also knows he's on. Thank you all for sharing the live. I appreciate it. So our guests will be calling in about 5 minutes. They usually come on just in time for the live. Last night's live was, oh my God, that was so awesome. I know Cindy missed this afternoon also. Hey, lady. Hey, Coco. How are you, friend? I usually don't do this on a Friday night. We're going to see how Fridays go. Usually we do this on Thursday. Here we go. I believe this is Josh. Thank you.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from...
I think it's Josh.
Josh Burcham.
An incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hi, Marge.
Hi, Josh. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I miss you this week. We've been so busy. I know you're busy. I'm busy.
Oh. Yeah. Today was a busy day, too.
I'm sure.
How did last night go?
Oh.
I listened for a minute, for about 45 minutes.
Oh,
I know Keith couldn't make it in.
I know. Oh, you tuned in?
Yeah, I was doing homework with Jamie.
Oh, okay. I wasn't.
Yeah, she was running around doing it, and I was listening in.
Oh, that's great. See, look
So
at the support. Look
I
at
got
the support.
Yes.
Aww.
You know, we got to support each other, you know?
See? Josh
I
was doing homework with Jamie. Hey, Paige.
Yes. And, when she told me about Keith, I was like, what do you need me to do? And she's like, no, they got it. So, I was going to... It was a little late, you know, I would have had to kind of break in, so I didn't know if you guys needed any help or whatever. I tuned in a little late. It was about quarter till 10 to 6 when I called Jamie.
Oh, okay.
So we you guys were already in the middle of it. I'm not sure of the private investigator's name, but I was listening to Brian and what he had to say, you know. So.
Brian and then Mark. Mark was the investigator. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if Keith was going to be able to call in or not, but he wasn't. Because I could have had you call in on, the other phone, I didn't know that. Oh, that's great. I appreciate you. I knew you would have jumped in on that.
Yes.
Oh.
You just got to text me and let me know.
Okay.
And I'll check on that just in case we do have a malfunction like that next time, Or vice versa. Is Keith going to call in tonight?
Not tonight. He has something going on also. I thought he might have, but he has something going on too. I was hoping he would, but I don't think. Let me double check. They're having so much trouble with the tablets there, and they're supposed to be getting new tablets. Manny told me.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Manny said they were going to get the tablets last night, but they didn't. Yesterday, but they didn't yet.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Keith said that he has training tonight on the basketball court. So no, he won't. So far, he can't. If he gets a chance to break in, I do have an open phone for him. He does know that if he gets a chance. I have a phone sitting here waiting.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I figured I would be early tonight since the last two times I was late. So I figured I would jump in and then when John calls, I'll hang up and call right back. So we're kind of on the same
okay
time.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, Jamie's here.
Or what's he? Hi, Jamie.
Okay.
She can't hear you yet?
Yeah, she's in
or once John gets on before we get started, we'll hang up and call back. So I really liked that last time to where it was in sync like that.
Yeah, I think it works better that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
So wait, Jamie, are you saying they're not going to get the tablets until 2026? Neil Manny said they were supposed to have them yesterday. Because, they're horrible, the phones, I'm telling you. I mean, the tablets, they're having so much trouble. I don't know what happened.
Well, I am interested. I'm not quite sure. Ask Jamie what institutions have them so far. I heard some feedback today from Associate Warden that they're trying out some new things because they were rolled out in October the 1st. So we're not slated. Donovan isn't slated until the end of January. So,
really?
But we'll see how they work,
Right. And it seems when it gets later, because last week we had issues when we did with the calls, like with Javier. Jamie said she has to look into the schedule again on when they're supposed to. She has to look into it. So she'll let us know.
You have a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Well, hello.
Hi, John. How are you?
I am doing pretty doggone good.
Right?
I mean, this whole prison thing is starting to get in the way, but besides that, and how are you?
I'm good. Oh, Joseph is there too. Hi, Joseph. Joseph is Paige's husband, who's over at Donovan also. So he's tuning in.
How you doing, Joseph?
And Paige, anytime if you ever want to, if you want to join in the box, you're always welcome to come up. Paige, you just have to request. Well, he's always welcome to come up. John, it's so good to hear from you. I feel like it's been forever.
I know. That's what happens when you're doing all kinds of stuff and
I know.
globetrotting and things.
Right? I hear you.
Yeah, and it has been. Yeah. And how's everything with you?
Good. I've had a very, very busy week. I've just had a lot of appointments and then doing the lives, and we had a really good live last night. I had an interview with an inmate. He was in the Navy, and he was of course he's incarcerated for murder. It was self-defense though.
Yeah.
He was it's a long story, his captain took advantage of him. It was an assault. It was self-defense, but he got a raw deal. And the last night's live was very emotional. His support was amazing. His family, friends, and yeah. So we're gonna see what we can do. But I had an interview last night. The private investigator also enjoyed. He joined us last night. His private investigator.
Oh wow!
That's the first time that happened. So that was pretty amazing. Because when I first called him, John, and he didn't, pick up the phone. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to say, who's this crazy TikToker? And I don't think I'm going to talk to her. But guess what? We've had several calls that lasted a few hours. And last night it was amazing. He's like, after I got past the crazy TikToker, she's pretty awesome. So we're trying to help this guy. And I really enjoy talking to Mark.
Sure.
Yeah. So you know what?
That's great.
We're trying it. You know, it's the first time I really got emotional on my live. Like, I try to keep it in and keep a straight face, but last night I broke down twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it just goes to show you that that the work that you're doing is impactful, and it impacts you.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what the host list, how impactful it should be. It can be for them too.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It was a really good
one. This guy
one.
was in California?
He's in California right now, but yeah, and it happened there in the Navy there. Yep. He's in is it Soledad? I think I'm saying it right. Is it Soledad, the prison?
Yeah.
Yeah, Soledad. He was in Pleasant Valley. He was there, but they moved him to Soledad. Yeah. So he's there now. But,
yeah.
Yep. So
Well,
long story.
So how long did that last night?
Oh well, we went till 11:00. Yeah, we went till 11:00, and then after that, the girls, we went over to the other platform that I stream on. I mean, a few of the other girls, and guess what?
Uh-huh.
We were there till 12:30.
What?
12:30. I just couldn't end it. We went there to talk, and we spoke till 12:30. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how powerful this was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's just a lot to talk because I have all the documents. I even have the body cam. I have so much because they actually they sealed the warrant. They sealed his warrant, and we're trying to get it released because the body cam shows it says. I have the detectives on the body cam saying we really effed up this warrant.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, I have it. I have it in my possession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. Those are the things that guys like us that are incarcerated. That's it tends to be the holy grail when you have especially when you have investigative officers saying that they really messed up the investigation.
Yep.
It's
Mm-hmm.
but we're human and they're human, and everybody involved tends to make human errors. So yeah, there's something to be said for that. But, yeah, it sounds like you had a very, very powerful night last night.
I'll be honest with you, my whole time doing this, I never had a live like that. The comments, the support, the family, the friends. I couldn't even keep up with the chat. Thank God for my mods, my friend, my community. It was amazing.
Sure.
And then at the end of the live, I messaged Lauren and I said to her, well, had to chat the whole time. I said, and I had attorney Allie was in the background. Josh is familiar with Allie and a few other people. And I said, should I bring up his family and friends into the boxes? And Lauren said, let's do it. And I did. His wife, his cousins, his friends, and they all came up. And and he was in tears, just to say some words to him. And they did. He got to speak to his family and his friends, and it was an emotional night. I haven't had a live like that, and I have the goosebumps right now talking about it. So we're gonna see what help we can get him, because he got a raw deal, man. He got a raw deal. He should have never. It should have been a lesser charge. It really should have. It was self-defense. Because one of them was not leaving there. One of them was not leaving there alive,
Call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was him or the other guy. So it's a long story. When me and you get a chance to talk, well, I'll tell you the whole story. It's too, not tonight. But yeah, it's interesting. Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. You're setting the bar really high.
Yeah. Yeah.
John.
So,
how you doing, buddy?
Hi, Josh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Man,
great.
Long time no talk.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little
You have
underwater.
60 seconds remaining.
Hey, buddy, how about we hang up and call back in tandem so we're in sync? So how about we hang up right now and we'll call right back?
Could you hear him?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Let's do that.
All right.
Let's right back.
Let's do it.
All right.
Bye.
We're calling right back.
Okay. All right. So we're in sync. Cindy. And thank you, Cindy. If everyone could tap and share it out, I would appreciate it. So they'll be calling back. We'll continue our conversation with them. It's so amazing how everyone wants to help each other. Jamie, I didn't know Josh was listening in and helping you with your homework. He's awesome, Josh. He really is.
For Global Tel Link, you have a prepaid call from
Josh Burcham.
an incarcerated individual at the RJ Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. Will not be. This call and your Thank you for using Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Great timing, Josh.
All right. Here we are.
Perfect. Yes, yes. Well, how is everybody tonight?
I think
everybody
everybody's
ready for this pick up where we left off? I know it's been a little while. It's been 2 weeks. I feel kind of rusty. Not quite sure what we're gonna. Well, John and I, we got this. John's he's my ace in the hole. So we'll pick up where we left off from 2 weeks ago when we were talking about trauma-informed care. But before we get started, we have a new program starting here, and I want to say congratulations to John. Him and I both got chosen for peer support specialists here at Donovan State Prison. So I want to say congratulations, John. This is right up our alley. So we have another adventure that we're ready to embark on. And
congratulations.
I think we've mentioned it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, both of you. And I'm going to extend my congratulations to Josh, too.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. John and I are always working tandem together, and we were chosen. There was over 250 applicants, and there was 45 people chosen. We have a small population on our yard, so we didn't have as many as the other yards, so we only had about 6 or 7. We don't even know the full count yet. So out of those applications, we were chosen to be part of this new program here at Donovan, that's trying to change the culture and how corrections is run. So kudos to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when we left off, John, tonight we're gonna have to finish a little early because without my sidekick, I get discombobulated. I'm not gonna lie. And we left. John goes to bed real early, so he left at 7:30 our time. And we talked about a few things. We talked about attachment styles real quick. It wasn't. We didn't go into too much in-depth stuff. So where we left off was going to be talking about what does this look like in our life, right? When we start talking about trauma and trauma-informed care, but what does this trauma show up later on in our life as? That's a huge thing. That's a big factor in my life, and many people who are incarcerated and suffer from this, right? Because the dysfunction that leads from the trauma just doesn't go away as we get older. We add our own insight into that, which is distorted thoughts and distorted beliefs, and these maladaptive schemas come into play as an adult, and it affects our life hugely in a negative way. And I am a person that it did. And this is where, John, I'm just going to throw it right to you, buddy, and let's talk about some dysfunctional relationships.
Okay, so how about if we do, I'm thinking that we can go back and kind of do just a little bit of a quiz to determine, the level of dysfunction in the relationships of the people that are listening right now. Does that sound all right with you, Josh?
That sounds great.
Okay. With you, Josh?
That sounds great.
Let's call and
fingers. I'll read off 10 questions, and for each one that maybe applies to you, just hold up a finger, and that'll be your score. So, question number 1 is, when you or your partner, or it could be a close friend, just think of somebody that you have this relationship with.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Do you spend a lot of time determining, who the bad guy is and making sure that he or she is, properly punished? If that's you, raise a finger. Do you feel hurt, angry, or threatened, and then threaten your partner with abandonment or exile? Does one of you, this is question number 3, does one of you always have to have the last word or the right to determine what the outcome is? If that's you, hold up another finger. Do either of you hold grudges against the other for a long period of time, and then it erupts into a fight with held back feelings and all kinds of resentment? Number 5, do you feel that you have a right to tell your partner or your friend or whoever it is you're in a relationship with that they must behave a certain way in the relationship? Number 6, do you have confidences or share confidences about the other person without their permission? Number 7, when you have a fight, does someone always have to win at the expense of the other? Like, somebody's always got to be the loser. Number 8, do you forget the past mistakes and continue making them into the future without learning? Number 9, do you disrespect each other's boundaries or violate them just so that you can feel comfortable? And number 10, do you react strongly and fight in whatever way you can if you think that your relationship is threatened? So count how many fingers you're holding up and your score. So if you've gotten 1 or 2 fingers up, your relationship isn't dysfunctional at all. If you're holding up 3 to 4, you're kind of practicing maybe some dysfunctional interactions. If you're 4 to 6, you're definitely you're entering the danger zone, and there's a lot of dysfunctional interactions that you probably really need to address. 7 to 8, the relationship's totally in trouble. And if you've got 9 or 10 fingers up, then if you don't correct things real soon, you're going to make some really bad choices, and that relationship might be doomed. So, the reason why we kind of go over things like this, and I'm really interested to hear if any of you, if anybody that's listening, what your experiences are and kind of what your score is. And the reason why we do things like that is just to gauge where we're at overall, because dysfunctional relationships, a lot of times we don't even realize we're in them until we kind of look at these things. So we got to ask ourselves, where do these thoughts and feelings and all this stuff, where does it come from? What shapes our beliefs on these issues? And in order to do that, we kind of have to take a step back and actually look at what are, what forms and what informs these beliefs, what makes up our core beliefs. So I think that in this next section, at least in this little bit of time that we have, we can kind of talk about, maybe investigate a little bit of the core beliefs. I know that Josh had already mentioned some stuff about attachments and like bonding in relationships and what that looks like. We could probably kind of touch on that a little bit. And then actually like really recognizing what the dysfunctional concepts are in our relationships. And then hopefully we'll have time and we can actually look at what healthy relationships look like, and how to kind of create and maintain that, which is totally ironic but fitting because like us being here in prison, we have a really unique and a vested interest in making sure that our relationships are good and functional. A lot of times because we're on this like a one-way street where we're on one side of a telephone and we can't even judge what the body language on the other side of that phone looks like. So, Josh, you want to talk a little bit maybe about the core beliefs in relationships?
Sure. So, he makes a good point, right? When we're in prison, even as we're sitting here speaking tonight, and when we do on these podcasts, we have to judge off of what others are saying, and we can't even get a read off of what everybody's feeling now. But especially when we're talking to our family, those that have wives or girlfriends, but even our friends, it's huge when we're trying to identify. And, texting, it's something that's great, right? But I don't know how John feels about this, but I hate texting. I can't tell tone. I can't tell nothing about it. And when they're just short and brief, and that's what people want to do. And it's really, I guess I'm old school. If you want to talk to me, pick up the phone and we'll have a conversation and we can see those things. Because when we have these issues with dysfunctional relationships, when we go back to our core beliefs, right? Our core beliefs are traits that have been passed down to us. They help shape who we become, what our attitude, our values, our beliefs, and most of all, our behaviors. And this was when we were talking about trauma, right? When we go back to generational trauma, this is the stuff that stretches back over generations of culture and stuff that shapes these things into who we are, right? And they can be positive and negative. So suppose that a parent's anger problem leads to me being a criminal, or make it difficult for that person to be a part of my life. Many different things can come from that, right? This could put somebody on a trajectory that contributed to, one's own irresponsible behaviors and decisions, and ultimately end up incarcerated. So,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
A core belief is a person's most central idea about themselves, others, and how they really view the world. So these beliefs act as that lens that which every situation in life is seen. So even though we grow up in the same household and we may have the same kind of core beliefs because we're in the same household, we're seeing them through our own eyes. And so when we look at things differently. Our siblings see things and behave very, very differently. My older sibling wasn't, for a lack of a better word, he wasn't a violent individual. He didn't get angry. He has the skills and the emotional regulation to regulate himself, which I didn't. Even when a core belief is inaccurate, it still shapes how one sees the world. So harmful core beliefs lead to negative thoughts, feelings, the way we act, and whereas rational core beliefs have balanced reactions. That's where when I speak about regulation, So, when we talk about common harmful core beliefs, our self-talk, that inner dialogue that goes in our head and reveals our core beliefs, which are often hidden beneath surface-level beliefs that most people don't even see, and to the outside person. But even on the inside, we don't understand it. For example, a core belief, no one likes me, might be the underlying, just under the surface. And the surface belief, my friends only spend time with me out of pity. So we see things differently, and that belief has different layers to it. So when we look at these things, we have interpersonal problems. We have mental health problems because we have this negative voice in our head, always putting ourselves down, putting ourselves in this negative mindset. We have difficulty trusting others. So all these things: depression, anxiety, inadequacy, jealousy, substance abuse, always aggressive, or always wanting to argue. You ever know a person that just wants to argue? Just to argue? Because some people function in these harmful core beliefs, and in that chaos, they feel comfortable. And I can relate to that of growing up in that toxic environment where fight or flight. So if it's smooth sailing, something's got to go wrong. This can't be, So
you have 60 seconds remaining.
It leads to difficulty handling stress.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Low self-worth, a lot of these things we're not born with. We learn these things. So as a core belief, we can unlearn these negative behaviors. I'm going to call right back.
Okay.
You too. John,
all right, John. Yeah. Okay, he's calling back. All right, they'll be calling us back. Hey, Katie. Hey, Jeep and Nana, how are you? So they will both call back. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm going to switch stands because and I'm going to move them further apart. How are you, Katie? I'm going to switch stands and take the, because I don't know why they weren't hearing each other. We don't need this phone because Keith isn't going to be calling in tonight. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, I saw that. You deserve it.
From
Josh Burcham.
An incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5. Thank you for using Global Tel Link. Global Tel Link, you have a prepaid call from
Jonathan.
An incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, we're back.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So when we're talking about these core beliefs, the good thing is I'm not a brain surgeon, nor do I know too much about my brain. I just know that I got ADHD, and I know it's plastic, right? The neuroplasticity in my brain. And they tell me that I can learn new things. And when we talk about these core beliefs that we've learned from childhood, I have been able to retrain my brain to think differently. So I've learned that about many different things. We can unlearn things, and that's the cool thing about these distorted thoughts and negative self-talk and these harmful core beliefs. We can change those because they usually develop in childhood from these traumatic experiences as a child, or ACEs, but also traumatic periods in our adult life. And even though that the information that contradicts core belief is often ignored, these negative core beliefs necessarily aren't true, even if they feel true. And that's where when we start to get into that aspect of understanding, like I kind of use it in a funny way, like, do I really like hamburgers? I grew up eating just hamburgers, cheeseburgers. But do I really? Or is that just something that was in the house? Do I really like this? These are those things that I had to ask myself. Are these my core beliefs? Because these were mom's core beliefs or dad's core beliefs. But what do I believe? So, core beliefs tend to be rigid and long-standing. But today I know that I can change those. I can change them into whatever that work better for me, so I don't create any more harm to others but myself too. Just because
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
As we age, and they're reinforced by our adult experiences, we can now look at how this toxic and dysfunction in the family projects their shame into certain individuals, the black sheep of the family, the outcast, or whatever. I don't know about John, but my tablet just says it's going to log me out in 2 minutes. I've been on the phone for an hour because I was talking to my daddy beforehand. So I'm going to have to log out and log back in. And then I'm going to throw this over to John, if you want to hang up too, because I got to log all the way back out to log back in. And then we'll pick up right here.
Well, I have a plan. I have a plan. You go ahead and log out, log back in. I'll continue this discussion, and then when my time is up, you just we'll both call back.
Perfect, buddy. I will be right back.
Okay. I'm telling you, Marge, teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right.
Really does.
That's right.
And and it is. It's so cool. And Marge, I mean, you shared with me that you had a pretty good upbringing, and I know that a lot of the folks that listen, and especially the people that are around us in here, obviously, we're kind of set aside because, we're with a lot of people that would be considered outcasts or scapegoats or, the black sheep of dysfunctional families. So that's one of the reasons why we kind of, we can kind of drift into this place where, we get to identify some of these issues because, at the core of it, at the heart of it, we really want people to be better people. And we've been uniquely situated in here to kind of take a look at those things. I mean, everything from the criminality stuff to what Josh was just talking about core beliefs. One of the things that really stuck out to me that he had mentioned, and I think I hope it resonates with your listeners today, is that people, we're not born with these belief systems. We're not born with core beliefs. They're really they're learned. It's a learned behavior, and because it's a learned behavior, like the bad stuff, we can actually unlearn. And that kind of leads to that whole idea that even the negative beliefs that we hold, even if they're not they might not necessarily be true, even if they sometimes feel like they're true. And so, by us being in here, we get to kind of have this unique perspective that, because day in and day out we deal with, like I said, outcast, scapegoats, and black sheep of the family. And one of the things that tends to come up as this might actually kind of reveal itself in maybe some of the interactions that that happen on this forum, and that's the fact that within dysfunctional families, there's a lot of shame, and with dysfunctionality, and even with the dysfunctional relationships, a lot of times we just don't look at the real issues. We cover it up by all kinds of issues. There are all kinds of stuff. Dysfunctional families tend to have a lot of poor insight into their own behavioral problems, but having come from a level of dysfunctionality in my own family, I realized that it's easy for me to see it in someone else's, but really hard to see it in mine. It's kind of like being that guy that really is bad at playing basketball, but is a real good coach. So sometimes it's a lot easier to see the stuff that's going on around us and the stuff that's going on in us, which is one of the reasons why it's nice to pull alongside one another, even if it's over the phone from a few thousand miles away, and share this kind of stuff. because, despite the fact that in reality, we might be crippled by fears or addictions or mental disorders or abuse or any of those kind of things, a lot of times we'll do everything that we can to appear normal and exceptional. And the nice thing about this space that you've created, Marge, is that, we actually kind of get to unpack some of this stuff, whether it's, dealing with someone who's wrongfully convicted or talking through, healthy relationships. It's a good space for that, and I hope that the rest of our conversation tonight kind of reveals that, because having had dysfunctional parents that danced around obvious real problems right before my own eyes, I realized that there was this game that was kind of going on. I was scapegoated as a child, and that game is more based in that idea that, like, you're the reason for everything that's gone bad or wrong. And a lot of times, folks that have grown up with this scapegoating kind of vibe over them can't escape that role. And these roles tend to come on to us early in childhood, way before we can even think objectively about any of the messages that are given with them and to them, So it's especially, I've noticed that this kind of idea of, like, the outcast and scapegoat and, like, dysfunctionality, it not only does it persist in families, but it kind of propagates. And in dysfunctional families, there's always that one person that gets blamed. And the problem with that, aside from the obvious problems, is that it's just wrong and hurtful. It develops this false sense of a bad identity, this core belief that I'm bad, that I'm wrong, that I'm the reason that people are unhappy, or I'm worthless, or, I'm actually the fault of everything, and taking the blame solely on ourselves. And these are some of those deeply held beliefs for those of us that have grown up in dysfunctional families that have carried these over into adulthood. Because, even if a scapegoat or the outcast, runs away or leaves the family, a lot of times they're still considered the cause of all those difficulties, no matter how much time has passed. And it carries over. I know that me personally, when I came into this whole prison experience, I had a close member of my family kind of ascribe even the reasons why she was going through bad things in her life to the fact that I was in prison. So it took a lot of strength and a lot of internal, like, looking in to understand that there is an escape for this toxic blame, but for me it had to happen through coming to prison. For people out there, and hopefully to some of the folks that are listening today, the stuff that Josh and I get to share with everybody, we'll kind of shed some light on that and give some hope, and at least be able to identify and kind of name what we're looking at. Because there's a reason why the role of scapegoat or black sheep or like the whipping boy, there's a reason why this is like this timeless classic that's typical of almost all dysfunctional families. Whether you yourself are in this dysfunctional family or somebody, I'm sure there's memories and thoughts that have come up of others that are similarly situated, because and a lot of times this goes hand in hand with parents that have addictions, or parents that have their own emotional or psychological or personality disorders. And usually the reason is because they're unwilling to unpack the stuff themselves. So it's a lot easier to pack it on to a child, and at least one child. But sometimes it could be more than one. So if you've ever been scapegoated, if you've ever had a parent that scapegoated you, realistically, I couldn't offer a better suggestion than to look really closely at the attachments that have kind of come out of this. And this is one of those areas that Josh really excels at. And I would encourage anybody that's listening right now that has any questions or, anything that they want to chime in on to please do so, because this is some really, really good stuff, and this sets us up to kind of unpack and look at really healthy relationships should be like, and hopefully encourage those people that are listening to explore even healthier relationships. Josh, are you back?
Josh is back.
Yes, I'm here.
Josh
you sound
is
like
back?
you're underwater, John.
All right.
Okay, I know you're talking about attachments. And I wanted to ask that too. We kind of went over this last week.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Anything with anybody, we would like some feedback, because John and I are real good at this. We facilitate classes on relationships, ACEs, anger management, all kinds of things here in prison. So that's why we can really feed off of one another, and we love feedback to see, because when people give us their lived experience, it opens our eyes to something that we didn't see. No matter how many times we go over these things, we always come up with something new, because when we go back to that lens that everybody sees things through, it's different than mine. And that is where I get the satisfaction of seeing things that I didn't see before. And so it's really, really interesting to see what you see, what somebody else sees when we start talking about dysfunction and what does this look like in maybe your home growing up and how has that affected you. Because John knows when it comes to the attachment, for me, this is the huge area of my life where I was detached. I didn't get that attachment.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have 60 seconds remaining.
Okay. We'll call right back.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. We're going to call right back.
Okay. So if anyone wants to come up, you are welcome to take a box and come up. Questions, comments. I teach kindergarten, and you won't believe the behavior issues that are tied into trauma. Katie, you're welcome to come up if you want. Anyone's welcome to come up and chat with them. They love to talk. They love to interact. Anyone's welcome to come up. When they come back, and Josh and John are amazing.
You have a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. The R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, we're back.
All right. So how we doing? Everybody doing good?
Everybody's doing good. And I just told them if anyone wants to come up and talk, they're welcome. I do have a comment from Katie. She said, I teach kindergarten, and you wouldn't believe the behavior issues that are tied into trauma. She's a kindergarten teacher.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you say that again? You were kind of breaking up right there. I didn't get it.
Really? So Katie is a kindergarten teacher, and she said you wouldn't believe the behavior issues that are tied into trauma.
From the trauma? Is there behavioral issues?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that are tied into trauma.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. As I think she said she's a kindergarten teacher, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I remember this trauma coming out and acting out in the second and third grade. It really was pronounced in my life. And this is where it came up, where the dysfunction in my brain was the only way I knew what to do was to act out. I didn't learn correctly. I felt very inadequate. I couldn't read. There was a lot of things that came into it that, plague me today, not like it did then, but this is where, when I look back at my life, and that's why I ask people that are listening, is like, how does this show up in your life? Because these traumas and from the attachment, when you have an insecure attachment,
and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded,
cared for, and nurtured, right? So, and unfortunately, it shows up in these bad behaviors. And as a child, you'll do anything for attention. Doesn't matter. I don't give a shit if it's bad attention. Just give me some attention. I need that. And so, yes, you're absolutely right, Katie. It does show up. And even in my adult life, it showed up as dysfunction. And that's what we'll look at, how the attachment bond from these traumas influence our adult relationships, If you've ever felt deeply connected, for...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
In your relationships today or in the past, that you would just do anything for, you probably tend to need the same essential things from every relationship that you ever had. Some of the relationships dynamics, maybe currently, are a constant no matter whom you're with, right? These things don't change if we don't change our core beliefs and where we picked up this attachment bond from, right? And these dynamics come from most likely our earliest relationships, are strongly influenced, and these come from our earliest caregiving. So when we think about that as a child, right, what does that look like? So that's where we get this term. I can't think about it. I want to say it's Bowlby, if I can remember. John, am I right? Is it Bowlby with the attachment theory? Dr. Bowlby? I could be wrong, but it's...
Yes.
I think it is.
Yeah, he said yes.
And when when he goes back and he breaks this all down, and we'll break this down a little bit more into the attachment styles. John's a lot more better at the technical end of it. I just know the negative aspects of it. Our first loving relationship, I think we can all say, for most, I shouldn't say for all of us, for most of us who our mother was present in our life, that's our first loving relationship, right? And it profoundly shapes almost everything about us. How deeply and effectively we attach to the loved ones as adults. So, and that's where all this stuff comes into, as an adult, when we look at that part, right? How do we learn to attach? That's from mom, usually our primary caregivers. And as humans, right, we were meant to bond with our mothers for sure, right? Because we can't care for ourselves. So a primary caregiver, mom, if you're fortunate enough to have your mom in your life, to give you that, right? It's equally important that infants experience intensely felt emotions, because as an infant, we can't speak. We don't even understand what's being said to us. So it's all about the emotions that we're seeing. So if mom is having these extreme sadness or anger or anxiety, it puts fear in the baby. And when we go back to this, it's through nonverbal infant mom communication where this comes from, and we don't even know what's going on at this age, right? And it's baffling to me that this really creates who we are, and we're not even aware of it. And 99% of the time, mom's not even aware that this is happening. And it's so important to whom we are as human beings, as it influences our relationships throughout our lifetime. And it's a foundation for all of our attachments. And it's super tough to change that, right? I still see behaviors in me today, and when you know me intimately, you can see the insecurities still come up. Even though today I am secure, I have self-worth, I love myself, I take care of myself in ways that I never did, but those behaviors pop up.
Right.
And it shows from that, right? So when ideally, we want to have that securely attached attachment to mom, and it's through strong, loving attachment styles when we're growing up that makes us become self-confident, hopeful, trusting, comfortable, confident, because I am the exact opposite of all of those things. So, and I gotta say, no mom is perfect, right? No dad is perfect. No caregiver is perfect. I understand that, right? Because the caregiver doesn't have to be perfect or perfectly in tune with the baby. It just has to be simply good enough, because a secure attachment gives us that feeling of being safe. I can create meaningful connections with others. I have meaning in my life, and that right there is the key, right? When we have this dysfunction, these insecure attachments, these bad behaviors growing up, we live without a purpose, and that's where, when I go back to my belly button, I can barely stick my index finger in. But in the throes of my active addiction, in the time of the turbulence in my life, my belly button became the size of the biggest black hole on the earth, and I tried to stuff it with everybody else's pain, causing them pain and suffering, and trying to satisfy myself because I didn't have meaning. I didn't understand that. I didn't have that comfort and that security. I didn't have balanced emotions. I have unrealistic expectations of relationships. When I would be down and out, it was hard for me to recover. I turned to substances. I turned to violence. I turned to destruction. And it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me to maintain a successful relationship,
Right.
John, do you have anything to add at this point? You want to
and Josh, Josh, can I read a couple of things that are in the comments? So, first of all, we have quite a few new people that are just entering the chat.
Mark, you sound like a robot right now.
That's odd. I don't know why. Do you have me playing in the background? I don't know why.
I can't.
I don't know
Go
why.
ahead.
Am I okay for you, John?
You are perfect for me. You're crystal clear, and I think that probably next time we have to.
I don't know what's.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Next time we.
Yeah. Josh, I don't know what's going on. Like, you can't hear me. Because John says it's.
I can hear you, but I can hear John.
Right.
Is it the same way for him?
No, he said I'm fine on his end. I don't.
Yeah. So we'll have to call back in a few minutes anyway. So just hang tight, Josh, and then I'm sure it'll be cleared up next time.
Yeah, maybe like with the next call.
But I know Marge.
Yeah, so because we have a few people that are new that are just coming in to join. So I just
call back.
Just hang in there. John said so with the next call because it'll be.
You go?
You're gonna have to call it back in a few. I think he's having some difficulties.
You are C3PO right now.
Oh no.
Hey, Josh, can you hear me? Yeah.
I don't think he can.
You want me to try to call back?
I don't think. You know what? Yes, we'll call right back.
Call right back.
Now.
Okay.
We'll make it easy.
All right.
Make it easy on everybody.
Okay.
We'll call right back.
All right, they're going to call back because he's having some issues. We'll have him call right back. And then I wanted to read some of the comments. I wanted to go back up to... let me go back up and then I'll take a few other questions. 1 second. Let me go to... I wanted to find where Liz was. I didn't want to go that far up, but thank you everyone for joining. We have Josh and John Burcham. Here we go. Hopefully it gets better with this call now.
You have a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at The R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, let's see.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
Is it any
There you
better?
go. Now I can hear
Hi.
you.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
So
No, we spoke
let me
too
say
soon.
this though,
You're under.
Marge.
Can you hear
I
me?
will say this.
We can hear you.
Uh,
We can hear you.
we can hear you. I will say
I
this.
can hear
This is
John
how you
when
know
you
that
speak,
this
Marge.
is 100% authentic.
Exactly. Yes, it is. So you're having trouble hearing me, John? I mean, Josh is having trouble hearing me.
No, now you're good. Now
Oh,
you're good.
okay.
I can hear John. I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
all right.
So I do have
Okay.
I do have one of the comments. They're saying the younger years are such an important time to learn how to love oneself, which is absolutely, I totally agree with that. And then my friend Liz says I was adopted and I have always felt that no one has ever wanted me until my husband. Oh, Liz.
You're underwater.
Oh, no. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
When you slow down,
Yeah, it's
I
probably
can
our-
hear you.
Oh, because it's fine, like in the
Yeah.
chat, like everyone, I'm fine with my live. I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Well,
it's like
and
your
so
first
I guess as
4
long
or
as
5
they can
words
hear.
are fine, and then I can't hear you.
Right.
Then you start. We're on Star Wars.
Ugh. I mean, it's fine in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine on like my end. I don't know
Okay.
what's going on.
Well,
Yep.
we'll just keep
Yeah.
pushing forward. Then
It's
if we
definitely
can
on
hear, I
our-
can hear John.
Right. And John could hear me. It's just me and
Yeah.
you that are that's having an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna blame.
Well,
I'm gonna blame Josh's end.
Right? I know. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
But,
Yeah. Hey, he's closer to the Wi-Fi. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. And Nana of 5 Lines, welcome in. Thank you for joining. But, okay.
Well, so.
All right. Well.
Josh, can you hear me just fine?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm gonna talk for just a couple minutes and then I'll pass it over to you because was it Liz that said that she was adopted and never really felt accepted?
Yes. And
Marge?
yes, and could I add this, John? Liz is Brian's wife. Brian, who we spoke of last night. Brian, who's incarcerated.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's who.
Yeah, and and that's something that I know that it's unfortunate, but it kind of goes hand in hand because as we grow up, we're faced with we all have like these basic child needs, right? And this touches on the foundations of our this relationship, and actually kind of I know that Katie can probably relate to this as far as like with the kids that she encounters too, and it's that fact that children need safety and they need stability and love and acceptance and empathy and protection, and we need to have our feelings validated, and all of these things, and when those are lacking, we go into survival mode. So, it can be really, really challenging to balance out those emotions. Now, I will say this much.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Now, my phone is telling me that it's going to log me out in a minute if I don't log out. So,
okay.
Marge, I'm going to let Josh know that he can continue on it. If hopefully he can hear me just fine. And I'm going to log out real quick and log back in, and then when we have to call back, we'll call back together.
Okay, all right.
But it'll take me a minute.
Sure.
Okay.
He's got it. You want to continue, Josh?
Yes. Okay, because we're going to... where I left off, I could hear him underwater, so I'm not quite sure if we were still talking about how
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So I'm just going to kind of jump to where I think he was leaving off, which was like, what are these attachment patterns, right? Because when we go back to mom, right, when we have all those good attachment stuff, we have meaning and we have emotional regulation, all that type of stuff, and when we don't get it, you know, who knows what mom really went through, or dad, or the caregiver. You know, we don't blame it on the caregiver, but for me personally, now I have an understanding of why I am the way I am. So that could be for a plethora of different reasons why mom or the caregiver isn't securely attaching with their child. The more research that I do in studying of adolescent development, I do think, in my personal opinion, is that in my case anyway, in our family, the first baby was taken care of, and then the second baby was like, oh, this is easier. So we tend to get lax, but also mom was a little bit probably more into her dysfunction and drug abuse as I came along and my younger brother came along, and it wasn't pleasant for my younger brother as well, right? And so when we have these things, when we have these attachments, obviously there's a secure attachment, right? And they're based on maternal parenting. That's where we get these things from. It gives us where our core beliefs come from. We pick up these behaviors. Growing up, I despised my mother, and I became my mother because that's where I learned all these behaviors, right? So when you have this, depending on which one of the insecures you have, you know, there's three. There's fearful, avoidant, anxious, preoccupied, or disorganized, and then dismissive avoidant, right? So like the dismissive avoidant adult, it's very independent, and it avoids attachment in general. So when you see that in other people, you can kind of see where they don't just bond with friends, or when maybe somebody at work, as we're adults, right? And they deny themselves that need for close relationships. They hide their feelings or suppress them. They self-isolate because they don't do well with rejection, especially in intimate relationships. It's just kind of just completely disconnected, you know. They're just anxious, insecure. A lot of them are controlling, just critical and rigid. And it just...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
They have difficulty just connecting, emotionally, let alone, you know, even physically. So that comes from a parent that was often rejecting and unavailable. That's where they get the dismissive, you know. The fearful avoidant guide, you know, when I look at this one, it's a tough one because I fall in all of these, and when you actually look at them and you read them and you try to place yourself in one of them, right, we may fall in one or the other. But being the fearful avoidant attached, you have ambivalent feelings about relationships. You want them, you don't want them, you're uncomfortable when you're in them, you are miserable when you're not. All those types of things, you know, difficult with intimacy. And we know that when we're talking about intimacy in a relationship, I know the difference today. Intimacy is not sex. Yes, that's a part of it, but intimacy is being vulnerable, opening up, allowing yourself to be. And that's that place where the avoidant attachment is fearful. It's like, are you going to stay? Are you going to go? You know what I mean? You're always doubting them. You're always feeling anxious, insecure. You just want to control things. You're unpredictable. You're erratic. But also, on the other hand, you could be charming, and that's where it just gets confusing for your partner. And that's where when we have insecure attachments, with insecure attachments, I mean, I've been in plenty of those myself. So, like, that is just that's a recipe for disaster, because we're both insecure and we can't make these ties to one another to actually securely bond, you know. So it makes it very difficult for as an adult when we learn this as a child, you know. Me, I'm an anxious guy and preoccupied in a relationship. That's just who I am. I'm always seeking high levels of approval. I want intimacy. I want human touch. I want those affirmations. I'm very dependent on my partner. You know, to become codependent is I'm always asking if something's wrong, and I've had to work really, really hard to know that I'm okay standing on my own 2 feet. A relationship, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, a romantic relationship, that those people accent me. They don't complete me, for a lack of a better word, right? Like, I am okay by myself. I've had to work through this insecure attachment because I didn't have self-worth. I had low self-worth. I didn't have positive views of my life, the world, let alone my partner, you know. I mistrusted my friends, what their intentions were. I'm very emotional. People always tell me, man, you wear your emotions on your sleeves. Well, yeah, I did. I was very impulsive. I'm always worried about, it wasn't secure, you know. I would love to be in a relationship today and be able to say, yeah, honey, go ahead, go to Hawaii for a week, and not have to worry about that, right? And today, I look forward for that, because my life was, no, it wasn't that way, because I'm afraid everybody's going to leave me, because that's the way it was with my attachment. Mom's always unavailable. She's paying attention to my older brother or my younger brother, so I don't feel like I need anything. So I'm always craving that approval and intimacy. So it's a lot to deal with that, you know. And this is what showed up in my later on in life, and that's why for me the attachment is so important. And when I hear about people having babies and you know, raising their kids, it makes me wonder, like, do you know how to raise a child? Have you done any type of work to understand how important that attachment is? You know, because it's going to affect that baby for the rest of its life. And I don't have kids, so I don't even know how to speak about to raise a child. So, you know, and it comes in many different forms, and it's so hard to work through that. When it goes back when we can learn and unlearn these things, and that's the beauty of our brain, right? Right. We can do those things, you know. And when we feel, you know, if you feel that you're in a securely attached relationship, able to give love, receive love, relish your independence, enjoy the togetherness, consider yourself tremendously blessed, because there's a lot of people that we know on a daily basis that are living in dysfunction, have dysfunctional toxic relationships, you know. So you would be tremendously blessed, you know. Right. But if any of those other attachments, you know, you see yourself in any of those styles right there, you know, we just went over, you probably have a little bit more conflict in your relationship.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Some difficultness and unrealistic expectations of others, you know. Depression leads to anxiety, or both together, comorbid disorders. Also can result in insecure attachments, you know. And if these conflicts are causing distress, that's where we do these things to enlighten ourselves so we can address those issues, so we can help ourselves into having a healthy relationship,
Absolutely.
John, are you there?
No, actually, I just got a message from John. He's having some issues right now with the phones. He's trying. He said it won't let him connect.
Oh.
He said he's going to keep trying.
He's going to hang up.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to hang up, and I will call right back.
Okay. All right. Hi, David. Welcome. Hello? David, you requested? David, did you mean to request? David? I guess he didn't request. I guess we're going to have to disconnect. He requested twice.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Josh Burcham.
Oh, no, we're having... Oh, here we go. We got John back.
Burcham Jonathan
Perfect timing.
San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from... You will not be charged.
Me too.
To accept this call, an incarcerated individual at Global R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego,
John's calling
California.
back.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call.
Perfect timing.
I know, right?
Link.
Yes. All right.
Perfect timing. Josh just called.
Oh, perfect.
That worked out.
Well,
Yeah, I think one of us didn't pay our cell phone bill.
Right? I'm telling you.
I'm going to say it was your turn, John.
Well, all right. Okay.
We just got done finished with the kind of going over the attachment theories and styles, and if you are fortunate enough, we do have a unicorn. Marge is a unicorn, so I would be interested in to see what attachment she feels she fits in. Somebody who had 0 aces is a unicorn in our world.
Right,
you don't see too many people that have even just 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were talking about, John, and where we get that from. In the unhealthy parent-child relationship. Because when we look at those qualities, right, and how these wounds are created and the sensitivities that we have stem from this stuff as a child, right? So, like, when we think about these things, what was it? It could be numbers of things, right? Lack of attention, lack of affection. How is that attention being paid? Pardon me? Yep.
Oh, no, it's his background. I think somebody's in the background talking to him. That's okay.
Oh, he's close to
there's somebody knocking on my door.
Oh, there's somebody knocking at his door.
Oh, because when we look at that, like, what is lack of affection? Like, for me, that's a personal one, right? Even though Mom gave me affection in some...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
When I watched her interact with my older brother, I wanted that. I wanted the closeness they had. So, it goes back to perception, how we perceive these things, right? My mom was very explosive, expressive, right? So I picked that up from her, different things, But how is that fear and anger when I learned how to use anger as a coping mechanism and a tool to get what I want, right? It could be, so many different things, physical neglect, loss, if a parent has passed away.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Divorce is a big one, because we feel that we're being abandoned, stuff like that. How do we, when we think about fairness, think about that. Again, Marge, you're a unicorn. So when I look back, like fairness, right? My older brother had a set of rules for him, and I had a set of rules for me. Mm-hmm. He had a different kind of respect than I did, Mm-hmm. I wanted to say these things or, say things, and I couldn't even get my own stuff. So I didn't have my own sense of self. I grew up, believe it or not, I grew up with my little brother. His birthday is October 12th. Mine's October 15th. We lived in the same room until we were 13. I don't know what it's like to have a birthday. I didn't still to this day because my dad's birthday is the 13th of October. So we have the 12th, 13th, and the 15th. So I didn't have this differentiality of who I was, right? We never got to celebrate those things, and we lived in the same room. So who's who? Where's my identity? Where's this person becoming who he is, right? Mm-hmm. So we deal with a whole bunch of different things that come into it, there's this treatment and how we get these core beliefs and stuff, comes into many different things. Being passive. At times I was very passive, but then I would be aggressive, I have huge trust issues with people of authority, with mom and dad at times, Today my dad and I's relationship is super strong. We've worked through a lot of stuff. We've had that open dialogue. I can ask tough questions. He can say tough things, without taking it personal. Obviously they're personal because they're between us, but that has built this trust between us and this friendship, this bond has been able to build back, fortunately, through my incarceration. So I have some other things, some good points coming from my incarceration. But there's a lot of shit that comes with that too, if they're not available, all that type of stuff, So, now that we've gone through a lot of this dysfunction and covered some really touchy areas, we can look into kind of a little bit more into the dysfunction as a whole as we talk about what a healthy relationship is. So, Marge, I'm going to let John, I've been speaking for a minute. We've been having this phone issue. I'd like to let John get in here and talk about what healthy relationships are. And also, give us your points of view. I think I said this, a couple weeks ago. I really like to hear it when we talk on the phone, Marge, and you speak about that. That's something of a myth to me. Those are things that are, I want to hear that. Those are the things that we strive for today, to have those healthy relationships where it's not about me, it's about us. It's about everyone feeling worthy and feeling validated and feeling just loved. That's what we strive for today. And I love it when I hear you speak about your family and the things that you do and the independence and that type of stuff, the lack of that. So John, if you would want to take over and add some more stuff to what dysfunction and lead that into what a healthy relationship is for us, please.
Sure. Well, I think maybe, I think maybe talking a little bit about identifying some of those markers that can kind of get us back on track if our relationships are, once we recognize some dysfunctionality in our relationships, like this whole concept of identifying how to get on track and, really realizing that most of the relationships that we have are pretty much more or less dysfunctional in different ways at different times. Even talking to our beloved unicorn, I think Marge, you'd agree that that there's no real perfect relationships, right? They just don't really exist. We're always kind of moderating in some level of dysfunctionality at different times, different ways, right? But I think that it's crucial for all of us to stay kind of focused in, especially if we're trying to stay in a committed relationship. Most of our intimate partners kind of, whether it's friendship or actually like marriage or, dating or whatever it is, friends, who knows. But most intimate partners adapt to like all the disappointments and the disillusionments during the time that they're together, right? I mean, we learn to deal with these things. And if there's enough good in the relationship to compensate, then we weather the distresses and we continue to love each other. But, over time, sometimes there's these relationships where we have more heartaches. We have these, sometimes, we have these relationships where there's more heartaches than there are good times, right? And sometimes those relational bonds start to weaken. There can be all kinds of like...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Other people's baggage, the personality traits that we bring in. We talked a little bit about, our belief systems, our core beliefs and things like that. Even positive relationships fail after too many broken promises or, all kinds, if there's a bunch of repeated unresolved conflicts and things like that. So if the accumulation of dysfunctional interactions kind of come together, then relationships tend not to survive. So especially if there's like some sort of like big time deal breaker, right? Boundaries being crossed, things like that. Even suppressed disillusionments kind of weaken that foundation, and they make our relationships even more likely to fail. So I think that being able to identify some of these markers will help us to kind of the script on that and turn it around and look at these from a real objective point of view, to where we can actually build on this and create more healthy long-term relationships, right? Because a lot of times our relationships, they just push these distresses under the rug without any kind of resolution. And then what happens when you keep putting things under the rug is you end up building a lump that you trip over later, and you're unable to recover from it. So being able to identify and maybe explore some of the typical relationship damagers seems to help. So I've got in my mind, like there's some common dysfunctional behaviors, right? That are common. I mean, because there's no long-term relationships that don't exhibit their own self-destructive behaviors over time. It just happens. We come in with baggage, right? But successful relationships, successful couples, come together over time and do whatever they can to diminish these damaging effects. These are really evident to folks like us that are in prison. Now, for me personally, I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend, anything like that. But I have a lot of really, really comforting relationships with friends and families that, and all of them have some level of dysfunctionality about them. We just kind of, over time, been able to, kind of compensate for those. So, we'll go over, I think we'll go over some of the 10 common dysfunctional behaviors. And a lot of these will be just familiar to everybody. But, and then there's some that, might be unique to your own listeners. And I would, anybody listening in, I would encourage you to, let it be known if any of these resonate with you, or if you have some that maybe that we miss, because identifying, recognizing these in our own relationships kind of gives us the heads up for ourselves and for others that we can share and help along this journey, to kind of keep them from damaging our commitments to one another, and just keep relationships healthy. And this serves as a really good foundation to talk about healthy relationships in a minute. But so here's some of these like common dysfunctional behaviors. The first one is when we assign blame. And it's something like, there's been a malfunction, and then who's to blame? And it's like this, it's this immediate response to a conflict and it signals that, the resolution is hopeless without, blaming somebody, right? And with blame, comes defensiveness and, counter accusations. And,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
Unfortunately, it's like one of those things where, like, we recognize that something's gone wrong, and then, instead of going, what can we learn about what happened?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And so, assignment of blame is one of those things where no one feels good when their partners are disappointed and disillusioned and, blaming. But, if accusations aren't thrown around in the beginning, and if they're replaced with like some mutual and willing accountability, most people are more open to more effective resolution. So with that, that's a good place to pause, and I will call right back. Hopefully.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm hanging up and call right back.
All right, let's do it. All right, Josh. I think we lost him anyway. No, Josh's birthday is the 15th. The 15th. His dad's the 13th. Brother's the 14th. He's the 15th. I wrote it down. Here. Oh, Matt, you're killing me. You're so funny. Nana 5, I'm so glad you found us. And this conversation, these guys are great. And knowing like they're incarcerated and they do this, they're amazing. Are you still here?
This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
Josh Burcham.
How did you know it's Josh? Like, really? How the heck did you know?
San Diego, California.
Oh, wait, I forgot, Josh. Oh, my God.
You have a prepaid call. You have a prepaid call from this call. Thank you for using an incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah, I was looking for someone in the chat, but no, I got you.
Dial 5 now. Thank you for using.
No, I was laughing because someone said it's Josh. And I'm like, how do you know? And they said I'm smart. Because like how did they know which phone it was? But they knew, they were right. No, oh, my friend Matt. You know who Matt is. Allie's friend. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hi, Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Oh. Okay. I was wondering, I guess Nana might have left for a minute. Okay, because we have a few new people that joined. He said, I'm good. How about you, sir?
I'm doing great. The weather in San Diego is changing, and it's Friday night. How's everybody liking the Friday night? The switch to Friday night. How is that going?
How's Friday night? I know this is the first time I'm doing this on a Friday night. The views are good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is the first Friday night, so it's 50 degrees in Ohio. Well, Matt, I'm coming to visit you because it's hot here. I just had to have my air conditioner repaired tonight. Like, really? Because it's still warm here. We had a service call because my daughter Christy happens to be on a cruise. So I can't wait till she gets home Sunday. She's been gone for a week already. I miss her so much. You would think, oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know why you're underwater still. I can hear John, but I can't hear you, Marge.
Aw.
You're underwater.
I'm underwater.
But that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's only for you.
Yeah.
It's only for you.
Yeah. Well, I can hear John, and then he comes in and out, but take it away, brother.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So it kind of talks a little bit about assignment of blame as far as, dysfunctional behaviors go. Then there's, the threats of abandonment. So, and it's with that like self-talk or that behavior where it's, I'm out of here, or, you threaten exile. And, a lot of times when we threaten abandonment or exile, it's not that, this is our best effort, but it's usually the last resort. It's usually one of those things when we're exasperated or frustrated or hurt or angry. And, it comes a lot of time when there's blame involved because our fear of loss and, those feelings of worthlessness, it's just not good experiences for people that love and care about one another to come into for any reason. It's kind of like the D word. It's just, we should always, the D word being divorce. You never want to threaten or abandon somebody, and you don't really want to use that D word unless it's absolutely necessary. Because someday your partner can actually take you seriously. So be really cautious about those, and they're telltale signs about some dysfunctional behavior. Same thing with like dominance or on the flip side, submission. It shouldn't be a power struggle. It shouldn't be that question of like who has the ultimate power to make decisions in the relationship. There should be compromise. Relationships, if there's a power, hierarchy where one partner is on the top.
Back in.
You have to log. Oh, he has to log out.
Okay. Well, hopefully he comes back outside of the water and can hear better. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, so hopefully that helps out his situation, the phone situation.
Right.
But that's what happens when you deal with real time and real people in real situations. It's this is very how can we say, like, really raw. I mean, these are things that we get to deal with all the time. Talk about dysfunctional relationships. We have dysfunctional relationships with our doggone phones in here. It's terrible sometimes. But I think that a little sidebar too. Every time that we call you, there's 10 steps that we have to go through just to reach you. I kid you not, we've got 3 different logins. There's a facial recognition thing. It's terrible sometimes. I'm surprised they don't ask for a blood sample. But yeah, there's 10 steps that we have to go through just to make one call. So yeah, we have to deal with some dysfunctionality on our end.
Oh, okay.
But that's one of those things that we commonly, like, one of our frustrations in here that gets overlooked a lot is just dealing with this strange, like, technology we have.
Right.
It is its own level of
this is Global Telling.
But
you have a prepaid call from.
Back to the subject.
An incarcerated individual.
So dominance and submission is really bad.
Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone.
I hope he can hear us now, at least me.
I hope so too.
To accept this call.
Yeah, he gets to hear me all the time. So
I know, right?
I made it.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is it better?
Right.
I don't know. Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Let me know.
All right.
Yes. You're better already.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Right.
How about me? Can you hear me, Josh?
Third or fourth word.
That's strange.
I can hear you.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We only retain about 30% of what we hear anyway, so you'll make sense of it.
That's right.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And kind of recognizing those dysfunctional behaviors. Grudges is another one of those things, and grudges kind of come from that unexplored and unexpressed and, those powerless complaints. And they usually start small, and they're usually like real insignificant, something small not to fight about. But once it's kind of like that's like we were talking about, sweeping them under the rug, and once they're buried, they just kind of fester and grow. And usually those people that harbor grudges kind of do it all the way across the board. If you've ever grown up feeling like you're the victim, or like real bitter, like so that you've always been treated unfairly or resentful, a lot of times that's one of those telltale signs that we're kind of harboring and working with grudges. And a lot of times when confronted by their partners or friends, most people usually don't even reveal the depth of the resentment. They just kind of gloss it over. So, underneath they see themselves as people who have been like repeatedly cheated. So if you see that in your relationships, or you see that in yourself, there's that's a huge warning sign of some dysfunctionality. Same thing with ownership. If we feel like we own the other person, or like their emotional stability is something that we own. It's whatever the owning partner wants or needs, the other partner kind of has to give into, has to acquiesce. Those are real, the real dysfunctional attitude. And the reason is because, in functional, supportive relationships, neither person should feel that they own the course of another's life. We're in this together. So if the door to love is really open, then we have to understand that our partners are valuable and that they're not really easily replaced, and that should diminish our idea that we have ownership. And that's usually paired with disloyalty, right? So anytime that we are disloyal, that's we live in a culture now that it's a fast food culture, that when we don't like our relationships, you're a few clicks away from meeting somebody else. And even those kind of thoughts are disloyal. If one partner talks to someone outside the relationship about intimate situations that are about your friend or your partner, and without their consent, that's a violation. That's disloyalty. And people don't really have a right to other people's intimate knowledge. So, and on top of all this, it just when disloyalty is comes to the surface, which it always does, it's like
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It results in this weird awkwardness that just is so uncomfortable. And there's so many times that you trusted friends and loved ones just go away, and and that it's like this co-contaminant of disloyalty just multiplies, and it leaves everybody who's affected by it kind of wondering who to trust. So it's it's a bad, dysfunctional mindset. And if you see that happening in your own life or the life of somebody you love, you get to really kind of bring it to the surface. Same with winner or loser arguments. When we argue, when couples argue, they usually stop listening to each other really early in the conflict. It's within a really short period of time, it's kind of difficult to understand, especially when you're in a heated argument, like what the other person is feeling. So when we work with conflict resolution, which, and Josh is really good at that in here. These are things that occur really when friends or partners kind of stay connected on their own feelings and then are able to express that. So arguments are tricky though, because a lot of people just want to push their truth. We don't engage people to where we're actually listening to what they're saying. We engage people to wait for us breaking the argument so that we can, say a winning point. And most arguments just don't even really come to resolution of the problem. So if you find yourself in one of these situations where, there has to be, you have to win all the time, or, the other person always has to lose, or you have to one up the other person, you build up a lot of emotional scars that make succeeding negative interactions less likely to result in healing. And if we're geared towards healing, we want to kind of identify these things. And boy, listen, there's so much that we can recognize in our relationships with one another. Like really thinking big picture, right? And I'm really interested to know if any of the listeners have had any of these things come to the surface, but really kind of interested to know if, especially this one, and this one deals with like snapshots versus moving pictures. And the reason is because like, think of like what a moving picture is like. And then think of what like a snapshot looks like. So more men live right in the moment and capture that moment, with some sort of like emotional or mental snapshot. And though, they might seem to enjoy thinking about the past or future in like battle business or, sports or something like that, you have 60 seconds remaining in our intimate relationships. But women, on the other hand, they're more like weavers of time, right? You guys are like way more better in your intimate relationships to remember the past and anticipate the future. Hey, Josh, are you tracking with all this? Can you hear me?
Josh?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey,
you want to call back?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call back right now. But you want to kind of take over from this point,
or do you want to call back together?
We'll call back together.
Okay.
All right.
I can pick
call
up
back
from
together.
there.
Sounds like
I know where you're driving with the snapshot.
Okay.
All right. Call back together then. Matt, he's underwater. Exactly. When you get rid of your gallbladder, you can mod. The only way you can mod is if you don't have a gallbladder. Now it's going to be the other guy. If you're right now, are you kidding me? How do you know this?
This is Global Telling.
Like, how do you know this? There's no rhyme or reason to this. You're killing me.
An incarcerated individual
Matt.
at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged.
Josh Burcham.
Thank you for using Global Telling at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California.
Right.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid
I tried to hit that 5 earlier
for
thinking
this
it'll
call.
go through, but it don't always work, John.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
I try to push.
I figured.
I push my limit.
Yeah, it must be tricky on that end.
I know. There we go.
Yes.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, I love it when John explains this, because this is me. 20 years ago, this was me. I take a snapshot and I can't let it go. So I love hearing him explain this every time.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll go over the last couple ones, and then we can kind of talk about some of the, I don't know, maybe talk about just go into how we can make changes and kind of adjust these things. And this stuff is, it's not only is it relative, but it's important, because in the end, it's like, when we teach our groups in here, when we facilitate groups, whether it's, group on boundaries or relationships or anger management or, victim awareness, a lot of times we ask our participants, who's here just to be doing something? And, you have a couple guys raise their hand. It's like, well, who's here that wanted to do this because they wanted to be better people? And everybody raises their hands. And I love that, because, and now I feel like this is just such a gift, because we get to share some of this stuff with...
John, 1 second.
Yeah,
Josh can't hear us at all, he said. You can't hear us, Josh? I think...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those nights.
Yeah.
It's
Josh?
One of those nights. Josh, can you hear me?
No, I'm under. I can hear you say my name, and that's it. And you're very low.
All right. Well, can you? Maybe I'll just say Josh a lot, because if you can hear your name, then we'll get along just fine.
I just want to hear my name. That's all. I want to take a snapshot of just my name.
Right.
Now I can hear you guys. I don't know what happened. Now it's back.
Okay.
Well,
it comes and goes.
Well, how about this? Why don't you take it from here, and then and we'll just see how it goes. And Mark, do you have any questions or anything?
No, not right now. We're good. Is there any questions in the chat? Not right now. Everyone's listening. And I like this. Lisa said earlier, the JMJ team. The JMJ team. I like that.
Right.
Yep.
Where did you finish? I didn't hear you finish, John. Did you finish with your take on how we just take a mental picture?
Yes, I think so. So why don't you kind of take it from there? Just I don't know, talk about like boundary violations and stuff like that.
Oh, boundaries. What are those? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that means. Yes, boundary violations.
Of course you do.
Okay. Well, I grew up with a mom who peed with the bathroom door open all the time. So, I do have an issue with boundaries, We would be taking a bath, and she would just come in and do her makeup, or, she was using the bathroom, she was peeing, the door was open.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So, when we look at this, right, and how it translates into our life, because boundaries are the way we keep our internal things safe, our vulnerabilities, our concerns, and our insecurities, locked away. And the way we were raised as children plays a significant part in how easily we give up our rights and to those decisions. And when I didn't think anything of it when I talk about mom and her bathroom door being open, or taking a bath as a kid, and mom just coming in and starting, doing her hair or makeup or whatever, or if you're peeing, and I learned to pee with the toilet seat down. I know this is kind of off topic, but in prison we sit down to pee. We don't stand up because we live in our bathroom. I was sitting down to pee as a little boy because I got yelled at so many times for who left the toilet seat up, right?
Wait, Josh, I don't want to interrupt you, but they're saying that's normal mom life, doing that in the bathroom, like mom's walking in the bathroom. So my chat's saying that's normal. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right. So, because to me, that's normal to me too. When we talk about boundaries, so, right, these are, now looking at it, parents who constantly violate these boundaries teach their children that they have no privacy in any situation. So for me, I never really, like I said, I lived with my brother. We grew up in the same room. We had bunk beds. We shared a bed, so we had bunk beds till we got our own beds, So boundaries for me are non-existent, and when you're in a dysfunctional relationship, one or both of you often feel little conflict about entering the other's private world. What does that mean? Like, I don't know what that means today with technology and a phone. That's where my mind goes, right? Because, one may believe that what's theirs is their partner's. What's theirs is theirs, and what's their partner's is also theirs, and that's without question or concern. So this could be material, thoughts, feelings, all these types of things, right? So what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine is kind of that, appropriate justification in their mind. And also, and once those possessions are taken, they can be used in any way I want to use them, in a sense, So, like, it's one of those things when we violate boundaries, not so much out of maliciousness, but out of the fear that their partner may be keeping something from them that would affect their life if they knew. So, and this goes back to that attachment style, insecure, all those types of things. And this is how all this crap ties together in a negative way, And those who allow their boundaries to be violated may be seeking an intimate kind of blending without the thought of consequences. So, because when we talk about like that fear of losing something, right? When we're trying to blend that, when we're talking about boundary violations, right? We allow that shit to happen, because the more we become attached to relationships, the more we may fight, or if it seems threatening in any way, but yet we don't want to, right? So being attached is not the same as being involved in an interdependent or deeply connected relationship. Those are three kind of healthy responses to a non-ownership relationship, and an intense attachment, like a child might feel on the other end of a potentially abandoned parent, produces a feeling of like loss, like you're losing in a relationship, right? It can drive a person feeling threatened into a desperate, like, grasping to hold on at any cost. And that's not healthy. That's part of a dysfunctional relationship, right? And the sadness of that kind of response is it usually has the opposite effect. It pushes them away. It for the one that they want, right? It creates that uneasy, awkward thing of being the anxious partner, wanting that person so much that it just pushes them away, and to stop that, the other one must be able to understand what's going on to ease off and focus on attending the needs of that partner. It kind of goes to the 5 love languages also. That kind of ties into this part of what we're talking about, because when you understand your partner, you can see what's going on, right? And if the love is strong enough, those behaviors might be all right for a while, but nobody wants to be put up on a shelf and only be used when it is, So that's just where, like, we have to have an understanding of what dysfunctional looks like and what are those patterns in the family. So, we hope that when we leave our home and we do have these healthy relationships we're looking for, that our child, when we leave, that we're going to leave all those problems behind. But that's truly not the case, We're going to find that we experience similar problems, similar feelings, relationship patterns. When I look back, I can see all the same patterns. Long after I left the family, those same family dysfunctions happening in my own life as a teenager. I lived on my own since I was 16. So I thought I knew everything, had the world by the balls, and I lived with my girlfriend. I'm 16 years old. I pay rent and have all these things, but I still have the same dysfunction that I had at home. It's just that where those
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We learn that our feelings and needs are important and can be expressed in a healthy relationship, right? When a child grows up in a growing, supportive household and the environment fosters that, it opens up in relationships in adulthood. But however, for families that fail to provide that, I am that child that suffered from emotional and physical needs that weren't met. So these communication patterns, these expressions, and all this stuff, it gets limited. And when you grow up in that, brings you low self-esteem. All these things that perhaps shouldn't be taken seriously by others because the needs weren't. Like, when we look at that, it just forms unsatisfying relationships with adults, all that dysfunction, So when we look at that, the resulting problem is all that abuse and neglect inhibits the development of a child's trust in the world. Not only in the world, but in themselves and others. It just compounds later as adults. We find it difficult to trust the behaviors and the words of others. We don't put any stock in what people say. We question our own judgments and actions. Are we doing good enough? That's where when we look at the positive affirmations that we need from the love language, all these things, we need that, to build up our own sense of self-worth and having secure attachment, not only to others, but ourselves. I got to feel secure about myself. And as I think Katie was talking earlier, these problems, we start to experience that as a kid in our academic work, but it also shows up in relationships, in our work, and it becomes who we are in the identity of what we are. And the things we have in common with other people that are abused is we struggle to interpret what is normal. So we just saw what I thought was something that was normal, and today when I looked at it, it wasn't normal. But all the moms are like, that's normal. Okay, so what is normal, right? So
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have 60 seconds remaining.
When we think about what is normal, we have to, no, I wasn't beaten, I was just spanked. What is that normal? The greater we have misrepresenting what was actually going on to develop the negative self-concept, So when we look at these things, how do we look at ourselves? Oh, I was raised in the 70s and 80s. Well, I had it coming, these types of things. So, but when we look forward to making changes, John, you want to call back?
It ended. I'm sure. Yeah, it ended. So I'm sure he's gonna call back. Okay, who's calling first now, Matt? Oh my God, Matt, you're killing me. I can't breathe. Josh will call back now. I don't know. I think John. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. I said, John, I won. You're killing me tonight, Matt. Oh my God, my head.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Jonathan.
An incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California.
Megan.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call.
Good.
To accept this,
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
All right.
We're back. Yeah, here goes Josh.
Yay.
Here we go.
I figured he would be right behind me.
Global
Exactly.
Tel-Link.
He's
You have
here.
a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility, San Diego, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and
Wow,
recorded.
it didn't
You
work.
have a prepaid call.
Here's
You will
my
not be charged
patience.
for
I'm
this
hitting
call.
5.
Yeah.
To accept this
I know,
call,
right?
say or dial. Thank you for
So,
using
John,
Global
real quick.
Tel-Link.
So, do you practice the TBRI? Trust-based relational.
TBRI. Something real similar to that.
Oh, okay.
We do. There's something real similar to that. I mean it's especially dealing with in trauma-informed care. The very first thing that we deal with is actually creating that trusting, safe environment. And so foundationally, we have to follow those lines. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. There was a question in the chat. Yeah.
Good question too.
Okay. That was from
was
from our girl Katie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
She's on top of it.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, that's and there's we try to as a group, we try to stay on top of really what works, because there's all kinds of fads, and there's all kinds of things that are that are in season, but for us, because we are kind of on these front lines where if we have interpersonal problems here, well, I see the same people every single day. So it's not like I can just avoid going to that store or, staying off that street, or, we're in such a close-knit society that we really have to figure out what works best. Right. So that's why a lot of the things that we get to share are the things that work best. We're on the front lines of doing best practices, which is kind of it's a gift, but it's also really demanding, because if it doesn't work, you're going to know pretty
and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah, we get faced with all kinds of challenges, and folks have their own stuff to unpack, and people tend to get, if we don't deal with a lot of these interpersonal issues in a real trusting and informative way, then you run the risk of folks getting angry at you. And in here, it's kind of like Josh was just talking about, how important building that, that whole trust is. Being able to trust ourselves and with abuse and neglect in your life, it inhibits that development of trust in the world, in others, and even in ourselves. And so when we're faced with conflicts around us and we don't have those best practices, it's kind of like you can build a house with a hammer, but it's going to be a really ugly house. And a lot of the folks that we're in this environment with, the only tool in their toolbox is a hammer. And so they just try to hammer everything out. And one of the things that, Josh and I have kind of joined forces with a few other really good-minded individuals is to give, our population and the folks that we get to come in contact with some more tools.
Right.
And some of that's like some CBI stuff. Some of it is like, figuring out the love languages and like really having, but really coming down to actually making those changes, and for us, we kind of want to leave the space that we're in better than when we came into it. Not just for ourselves, but for those people around us too. And because most of the folks that we're around are, coming home, they're going to be, our neighbors, your neighbors, the folks that are chiming in. So it behooves us to be the best versions of ourselves that we can. But a lot of times we continue in these roles just because we're waiting for somebody else to give us permission, right?
Right.
We're waiting on somebody else to say it's okay to change.
Absolutely.
But honestly, that permission it's so weird because that permission can only come from one person, and that's ourselves. It can only come from you. Because like pretty much everybody else that's around us, parents and administrators and, the guy who opens the door for you, they all feel threatened by change to one extent or the other. We become these creatures of habit. And so, as a result, a lot of those people that we're in, whether we're in a intimate relationship with, or whether it's just people that we pass in the hallway, they might want to kind of thwart our efforts to change and, insist that we remain like manageable, like that we, kind of change back because it's something that they're used to. It's something that they're accustomed to. It's one of those reasons why, people that are in abusive relationships stay in those relationships sometimes, but it's also why it's so important for us to trust our own perceptions and our feelings. And like when we realize that something is not right, to make an effort to change that and, get into these trusting relationships where we can actually kind of make that happen. Because, like we just kind of looked at, change happens with us. And, that whole concept of change too, there's like some real specifics when it comes to change that we can engage in too.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Most of the issues that we have, like most of the specifics that we can employ in our lives, are kind of, it's funny. Common sense is not that common sometimes, but a lot of the stuff is real common. It starts with identifying some of the things that we've been discussing over these, the few times that we've been able to come in partnership with you. And that's like identifying those painful experiences, the difficult stuff that's happened to us, from our childhood all the way up to the present, being able to really kind of identify them. And, sometimes it's really helpful if we just make a list of those behaviors, maybe our beliefs, all that kind of stuff, basically just make a whole list of things that we'd like to change. And this is one of the things that I personally like to engage in. So I'll make this list, right? And on the one side, like say, it's two sides of a piece of paper. On the one side, I'll make a list of all the painful or difficult experiences, or, all the lists of the behaviors and, beliefs and all those things, like everything that's kind of like a curse, right? All those things that I want to change. That'll be on the left side. And then on the opposite side, I'll make like the opposite of what that is, right? So if it's, maybe it's that, maybe I have a memory of being unloved or being abandoned or having, my boundaries violated. So I'll write that on the one side, and then on the opposite side, I'll make the direct opposite of that. So like for unloved, it would be loved. For being abandoned, it would be, accepted or nurtured, things like that. And then I'll make a conscious effort and look at the left side,
tear that off,
and say, okay, make a physical stand and throw that away, flush it down the toilet, light it on fire, whatever it is, get rid of that, and then look at the other side and go, okay, I'm going to actually live off of this side. Or you can just pick one item on the list and begin practicing the alternative behavior, choose the easiest one. Once we're able to do that alternate behavior, more than the original, we just pick something else on the list. So we kind of work down that list, and those are one way that we can foster change in what we do here. Josh, you got anything that you can add to that, or am I still underwater?
I can barely hear you. And were you talking about healthy relationships?
Not yet. I was talking about making some changes, but I will say this much: my tablet is telling me that I'm going to be logged out in 2 minutes, so it's going to log me out, and I don't know if I'll be able to call back. So you might have to take it from here
because it's that time. Yep.
Okay. All right. So we were talking about making changes, right? If that's where you're making changes to the dysfunctional relationship, when we do that, we have to take into consideration lots of different things. Today, when I look back and I started to make changes, I was trying to be perfect. And that's just not realistic, right? Because you can't I'm not perfect, and I can't make my partner perfect either, right? I also learned that I'm not in control of other people. I'm only in control of myself. So when I learned that I had to do that, I only had the power over myself, that I didn't have the power to make others change as well, right? So when I was considering all these things to get away from dysfunction, right, I was always trying to win. I was always trying to tell others what to do, how to live their life, because it's my way or no way. So when I was able to... This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. And stop behaving that way, I learned that people do things that they want to do, not what I want them to do. So that would be... It started to change the way my relationship started. And this happened in prison. We talk about intimate relationships. I know more people in prison on an intimate level than I ever did on the street. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. When I looked at those things and was able to identify them, it created healthier relationships all the way around. It definitely created a healthy relationship with my father for sure, But when the dysfunction shows up, where did we get those from, right? That goes back to the theme, right? We're always wondering, I was always wondering in life where this stuff was coming from. So I go back to our core belief and our attachment styles from when, what happened in our house. How were people acting? Were the addictions they had, the compulsions? Because when a child, we used drugs, alcohol to cover up these things, and it turned into, for me, gambling, working all the time, trying to stay busy just because I was totally out of sync with my wife at the time, So when we were able to recognize all these patterns, what did that look like in my relationship as an adult? I would start to push things off and ignore what my partner was doing. I would discount their feelings, criticize them for how they thought. A lot of things came into from my childhood is where it showed up. It goes back to those behaviors. And it was hard to really say that I was that way or this shit was happening in my life. So it took a lot to say that I had a dysfunctional family. It took a lot for me to say that mom was a drug addict that had mental illnesses, used these maladaptive coping skills that I picked up. It took a lot for me to understand how those things came into my life.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Into my adult life. And that brings us, we want to look at all this from a negative standpoint so we can address the behaviors and move on past them in a positive direction. Because if we can take everything that we talked about tonight and change one little thing that you see, right, that means we're moving in a positive direction. You know what I mean? And when we see that, right, it's going to hang up and I will call back. When we see that we can do better, we can treat each other better, we can have, these healthy relationships. They're not going to, and if it is a dysfunction, because nothing's perfect, but as we start to change these little things, we can build for a better relationship for the future, and that's where we can talk about what is a healthy relationship, I know it's,
Okay, we're going to just answer this call and then we're going to wind it down now. We're going to wind it down. Exactly. So I think we're going to wind it down with Josh and then, we're going to end it. I don't know if John's going to get a call in because every hour they have to shut the tablet down and reboot it. That's another thing. I think he will because I don't know if John's going to get another call. And John goes to bed actually now.
This is Global
I didn't think
you have a prepaid call from
Josh Burcham.
You were
an
right,
incarcerated individual at
I loved
the
it
Burcham
that
Jonathan
Chris came in
Facility,
here.
San Diego, California.
That was amazing.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid
Oh,
call.
I
You
hit
will
the
not be
5.
charged
I'm
for this
thinking
call.
it's going to go
To accept
through.
this call, say thank you for using
I
Global
know.
Calling.
Wasn't that nice, Cindy? Josh.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't think
Yes,
John, I
ma'am.
don't know if John's going to get another call, especially it's getting late also.
Yes. Okay, we can make this call.
Yeah, and then you know what?
About
Because this is going so well between the views and I'll tell you the likes that we get on your lives, the amount of taps and likes, if you agree to it, we can always set up another one because your topics are always amazing. Everyone's enjoying this, so we could always set up another one.
Okay, if you guys would like, we could stop here. I know it's late back there. John and I are early birds, man.
Yeah.
I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. That's when we start our day. So, and John is regimented. He is regimented that way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's it, entirely up to you guys, man. Like I said, this stuff is really, really passionate for us. And I know we've been talking about a lot of negative stuff that, from childhood or even in our adult lives with dysfunctional relationships. And they're hard. These are hard and touchy subjects because we don't want to say the truth, at times. And it took me a long time to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, man, you had this dysfunctional life with a lot of chaos and not only, domestic violence comes into my life from a very young age. And this dysfunction leads to that, because there's many forms of domestic violence. We hear this over and over in prison. Right. It is actually a prerequisite to get out of prison. To go to board, they want everybody to understand domestic violence. And people say, oh, I never hit my woman or this or that. And I'm like, hold on a second. There's many forms of domestic violence that comes from the dysfunctional life you live, right? It's not just physical.
Right.
And when they start to see that and you see that look on their face and they're just like, damn, I did do this, you know? And that's why John and I are so passionate about bringing about these topics that are tough. They're tough. And I've said this before, when we sit in a room and we have men that are, for a lack of better words, hardened criminals, you see their eyes water when they start to get something, that empathy. We're fostering that growth in them to take the callousness away, and it's okay to feel. Right. And yes, we've done things in our life that we're not proud of. But doing these, understanding what is dysfunction, right? Now I can identify what is healthy. And when we talk about what is a healthy relationship, we talk about, we have to create a safe space. Yeah. It starts with our mental health. Right. If we're mentally in a safe space, now we can work on everything else, right? Mm-hmm. We touched on love languages a little bit here, and that's another passion of mine, is to understand people's love languages. Even in platonic friendships with other men, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what is your love language? What is your attachment style? I can be a better friend to you if I understand that. Right. Because for whatever reason, that love language is also formed in infancy by that attachment style. Right. And when you can, tailor your friendships, and each one is different, right? Each one has different stuff going on inside of it. The dynamics are different. The interaction is different. I have some friends that, that it's very serious all the time, but that's them. That's that's the way they navigate life. That's not me. And, and I hate to say, like, you have to kind of be a chameleon, but you do when you understand compassion. And that's where meet people where they're at. And this new venture that John and I are on with the peer support specialist that's coming in here, it's right in our wheelhouse. We're going to be dealing with individuals who are in crisis, who are anxious, and, being confined behind a door creates a lot of anxiety inside of a person. And when you've been in it, and now we're going to be dealing on the front lines, we are going to be the conduit between our fellow inmates and staff to kind of quell some of those problems. It's just right in our wheelhouse. And when it comes back to understanding trauma, understanding attachment, understanding love languages, understanding personalities, right? All this comes into relationships. And this is, we still haven't got to what is a healthy relationship, and that part is also very, very important. So next time, whenever you guys would, I really would like to get the feedback on the Friday night thing from everybody as well.
And Josh, they're telling me, like, the information that you and John are providing is very informative. They're saying marriage counseling should include domestic violence education. Oh my God, that means prior to getting married. Like, the amount of, like, feedback I'm getting is, like, amazing. But
awesome. I'm so glad, because we're very passionate about it, and when that comment is so true, right? When we understand things, this is one thing.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Thank you. They're saying, I am thanking them from you guys. Don't worry about it. They're saying to thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Like I said, we try to educate, because when Katie was talking about seeing behavior problems in these kids in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, right? I didn't learn those things. So now I learn. I can learn. I want to learn. I want to learn about myself to teach others about their self, right? And when we do that and see the change, it's about educating. Okay, if you don't have this problem, but let me enlighten you a little bit, or give you some knowledge about domestic violence, what it does look like. So if you do see it in the future, you can address that. And having that open dialogue with your partner, right? Especially in an intimate relationship. My cousin's been married 32 years, and I'm not going to say all of us in our family are divorced, but most of our family has been divorced. And I asked him, how is this possible? And he looked at me and he said, she's my best friend. Before she's my wife, she's my best friend. When I have a problem, I go to her. Then we are wife. Now we are in this union. We've been in this for 32 years. And she is my best friend. And I was like, damn, how did I miss that?
Right.
You know, and when you think about that, that is it. When I turn to my partner, they accent me. They bring me up. They add goodness to my life. They don't make me who I am. And that is where, when he was explaining it to me, I was like, man. And so the whole totality of what we do is about changing the dynamics of how we interact with one another. Because in prison, I will be very honest with you, it's very difficult every day when we go outside to deal with people because of the inability to regulate their emotions. And that compounds the problems for conflict. And then John and I, and there's others, we're not alone. There's many others like us here that can see the trauma and have the conflict resolution skills to not take what they're saying personally and address the issue at hand by not reading through their trauma.
Right.
And I know that sounds funny, and we make this a blanket statement, but where we live, there's not a lot of violence going on now where we're at. That is not true. We live in a very non-violent prison right now, thankfully. But violence is right around the corner because there's always constantly conflict because of personality clashes due to domestic violence, right? Passive aggressiveness, verbal attacks, you know, there's always some kind of conning going on. And that's what we're trying to eradicate out of prison. And that's literally like going over to an anthill and trying to get rid of all the ants. It's crazy.
Right.
So I appreciate.
And John just messaged me, and he said it's not letting him log back on. He would like to say goodnight to everyone. If not, he did say goodnight. So I told him we would like to continue this. So I told him we're gonna sign off. So we will continue it.
Okay. Wonderful. Right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marge. You are the unicorn. Thank you for all the kind gestures. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, Marge.
Okay, and Josh, I just want to make sure I got this right. Your birthday's the 15th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So I will talk to you tomorrow for sure.
Okay.
All right.
Have a wonderful rest of the evening. You guys enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Good night, Josh.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was so, oh my God, that was so nice. That was so nice. I really enjoyed it tonight. John couldn't get back on. He could not get back on. It was so, oh my God. Oh my God. But everyone, I really appreciate you for joining. So we'll continue it. I wish they would get these phones. The yogurt shop case was finally solved. No. Marge, great. I haven't heard. Eye-opening, informative. Lisa, like it always is. Like their conversation is always informative. It really is. I really enjoy their conversations. I love their topics. It really is. Doesn't excuse the behavior, but helps make sense. Exactly. Yep. I really enjoy the conversation. I enjoy the topics. I just wish we can get the phones get it under control. With how it won't let John back in. He feels really bad. But I appreciate everyone joining. I really do. I really appreciate that Chris came in here. That was so nice. And thank you, Katie, for letting him know the time. I felt bad. I hate to interrupt when people are talking. Thank you for letting him know we were talking about it. Thank you, Matt, so much. I really appreciate you. But anyway, we're going to go over to the other app. I can't say the name, but everybody knows your favorite app. We're going to go over there and say goodnight. I don't want to, exactly. Thank you, Matt. We're going to go that app and chat a little bit. It's 11 o'clock. We're going to go there. I want to thank everyone for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I want everyone to have a great weekend. So if you have that app, let's go over there. I just don't want to get restricted here. So let's go over there and say goodnight. So thank you so much for joining. We are going to continue this. So next week we do have Brian. Yeah, if you download that app, we do finish over there, and that's a great app. I am eventually going to be over there. Like, you don't get censored there. You could be an adult over there. There's no restrictions. So it's a great app. We're there. I'm there every night anyway. I go there 5 nights a week. Well, 4 nights a week. And it's the same name. The same name. I'm over there, MargeC 625. So it's easy to download. You just, it's a 1, 2, 3, and you just follow me there. So everyone have a good night. I will see everyone on Monday at 2:30. I have a great weekend. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see everyone over on the other app. I will talk to you soon. Yes, it's also the link in my bio. You could just hit that and follow us over there. So I'll talk to everyone in a minute. Bye.